Welcome back to Kicking Crochet. So this is the Interlocking Tiles Blanket, and I've actually made two versions of this blanket. This is the smaller one, so I have 12 squares. This is going to be baby blanket size, so it'll be 27 by 36 inches, and then a little bit bigger when I add the border. So I already decided how I wanted this laid out, and I have it in 3 rows here. So I'm going to have 3 rows of 4 squares. I'm going to show you how I do the joins. So I'm going to take the first square from each of my first 2 rows, and I'm going to put the right sides together. So whatever side you want to be the top of the blanket, that is the right side. So I've got the top of this one sandwiched to the top of that one, so the tops are together. And I'm going to take whatever color was my, just hit my camera, my B color, so that it matches what I've used here. Tie a slip knot to start. And now on this corner, I'm going to find whatever was my middle double crochet. So this one right here, right in the middle here. And I'm going to take just the front loop of that and put it on my hook. And now I'm going to look at my other corner and find my middle double crochet for this corner and take just the back loop of that. So I'm leaving the 2 inside loops unworked, the inside of the back and the inside of the front. And if you did the Santa Fe pillow, this is basically the same technique, except instead of sewing it together, I'm slip stitching it together. So I'm going to take this and I will slip stitch that. And now I'm going to just work along this side, the front loop of this one and the back loop of this one, and slip stitch them together. Front loop of this one, back loop of this one, and slip stitch. And I'm just going to do this all the way across this side. This is one of my favorite joining methods for squares, just because I really think it looks nice on the front of the blanket. And the back looks fine, but I just really love how it looks in the front, and I'll open it up here in a second and show you what I like so much about it. So here, if I open this up, you can see that those loops that I left, it just leaves a really nice kind of finish on the front edge, so I really love how that looks. You can use any joining technique you'd like on this blanket, of course. This is just the one that I happen to prefer. My other version of this blanket I made with 2 of each square, so I did 24 squares, so I did 4 rows of 6 squares, so it's much bigger. And I'm working on the border of that one right now, but I wanted to show you so you can finish your own now that the December square is done. And again, all of these squares are free on my blog. You can get a link in the video description for more info about the blanket project. And one thing to be aware of when you're doing this is when you come to the place where you tied off the square, sometimes the slip stitch or whatever you use to tie off the square can look like another stitch, so make sure you don't get off a little bit at that section. And you can always kind of stop and check where you're at. If you're on, for example, right here I'm in the middle, I should be on the middle on this side and the middle on that side, and I am, so that's good. It should always match up. You don't want to make your slip stitches too tight or it'll make the blanket kind of pucker a little bit. I have a tendency to do that, so I had to remind myself here. And you can sew this if you don't want to slip stitch it, but since I would like to be able to work all the way along the row without stopping and without having to get more yarn on my needle for a bigger project, I prefer to slip stitch. So I'm just going to work on camera until I get to the next square to show you how I join those in, and then I'll finish this row and show you the next part. Okay, so I'm going to work all the way and finish with the very middle stitch. So this is my middle double crochet, and I should be at the middle double crochet on that corner. So I'm going to work that one, and then I'm going to scooch that just a little bit. Now I'm going to get the second square from each row. So I chose to do mine with kind of patchwork colors. So I've got the purple one here and the green one and the green one, and I'll do a purple one. So this is what my blanket's going to look like at this section. So I'm going to sandwich these together. So I'll move this up a little bit. So I'm going to sandwich my new squares together so the right sides are together, just like I had here. And now I'm going to keep going. Again, I'm going to find the middle double crochet here and take the front loop of the middle. And on my other new square, I'm going to find the middle double crochet and take just the back loop. Which is pretty easy on these because I blocked them, so I pinned through those middle stitches, so it makes it super obvious which one it is. Alright, so now I just did a slip stitch there, and I'm just going to keep working just like I did along that other square. So I will keep doing this until I reach all the way to the end of this line, which is going to be 4 squares long. So once I finish this whole line of squares, I will do the same thing to add the third row of squares. So I'm going to do both long rows. So for example, these two are going to be done, and then I'm going to add 2 squares here and 2 squares here going on this way to finish these rows. And then I will come back here and add another column onto here. So I'll fold this over and I'll start here and go. So I'm gonna turn off the camera now while I finish those 2 lines. You'll notice I haven't done anything to connect here, so that's gonna come next. Okay, so now I have the 3 long rows connected, but of course these short rows are not connected yet. So I'm gonna turn this blanket so I can get the first 2 rows. And we're just going to do basically the same thing. So I'm going to fold this edge over so that the right sides are together again. So you can see here's where I joined it along, and those are nice and straight. You got to make sure those aren't twisted at all. And I'll get my yarn again. And I'm going to do the same thing for each of these 3 connections. They'll start exactly the same, and I will go until I get to this space so you can see what to do when they connect it. It's really simple, but I know it's nice to see up close what it is. So again, I just started with a slip knot, and I'm slip stitching my middle corners together, and the front loop of the first and the back loop of the second. I'll just do this all the way across this edge. Okay, so now we've gotten to the place where we joined before, and you can see we've done these last 2 stitches, so we're gonna still work into those middle stitches. So we'll take this loop here and this loop here, and we'll slip stitch through those. And I think my cat is getting something, okay. And then we'll do the same thing with the next squares. This is the middle and the middle, so we'll slip stitch through. So these loops have already been used by going the other way, but we're gonna use the same loops. And we'll just slip stitch there. So these lines will cross, and that's why I like to do all of the rows one way and then all of the rows the other way, so the crosses are the same, but you don't actually have to do that. You can join it in any order you want, whatever works best for you. So we'll just keep going, and every time you get to a join, you'll do it that same way until you finish this row. Then you can cut that thread and join to do the next row until you have joined all of your squares together, and then it will be time to do the border. So this is what the join looks like from the front side on that corner area. So I like that it's not really very gappy. It looks neat and tidy. And once you have all of your squares seamed together, then it is time to start making the border.